In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a detail. Now this detail can be used for any aspect that you need to show a little bit more information on. In this particular one, this example, it's going to be a fire damper, but you can, as I say, you can use it for any situation that you need to create a lot more information as a drawing. So to start with, we're going to create a drafting view. So we need to go to View and then click on here, Drafting View. It's now asking us to name the view and the scale that we want to work with. So as I say, I'm creating a fire damper detail and I want it to be a scale of 1 to 10. Click on OK. Now we want this to be located within the mechanical section, so we're going to change the discipline from coordination, which is where most detail views will be automatically created. We're going to change that to mechanical, and then on the sub discipline we're going to change that to say HVAC. Now before I click apply, it does it automatically. You can see that we've now got fire damper detail here. So now we're going to start to draw this item. In some cases you might already have something that you can utilize, such as something that you've already got in your model. Now in this particular item these are sanitary pipes, but if we're working in a mechanical drawing, we might have a fire damper already installed in our model that we can use and just add information to. But I'm going to show you about drawing one from scratch. So from here we're going to go to the Annotate command, because this is what we want to use, and we're going to click on Detail Line, and we start with thin lines. So we're going to draw 2 thin lines down here. First one and the second one, we want it to be roughly 200 wide. And now we're going to change our lines to thick lines, wide lines, and we're going to do the same here. Now as you can see, I went from left to right, and if I scroll down here now to go from right to left, you can see that I can use a distance associated from the line that I've just drawn. If I was to draw it from this side, it doesn't always pick up the same distance. So you have to be careful. Sometimes it will measure it, as I say, from down here, because we're close to the line. Depending on how close you have these drawn together. If I draw it near to the bottom of our view, it's measuring from the bottom of the line. So we're going close up here, away from the end. So in this instance, it's measuring from our line that we've last drawn. And we want this to be 450 in this example. If, for example, as you can see here, it's scrolling between 440 and 460, and you can't quite get 450, just zoom in closer. And you can see this closer you get, the different the increments move. In this instance, we're close enough to move it by every 5 millimeters. So just be mindful of that. 450 is what we want. And there. Now from here, even though we changed it from thin lines to thick lines to thin lines, you can't necessarily see unless you zoom in a lot bit closer. Also, just be mindful of the fact of this command here, this apply thin lines to everything. If that's ticked, doesn't matter how wide you created these lines. As you can see, it's wide line and thin line, but they look exactly the same. So during your detailing, you might just need to make sure that this thin line command is unticked. So we've got 200 mil distance to represent our wall, and we've got the 450 mil height of to represent our duct. So what we're going to do now is we're going to continue on with our drawing to show what we want to actually display, what we want to represent. So you just continue on drawing here wide lines across, and you use your trim, your mirror, your commands, all of these to end up drawing exactly how you want to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw what I want to show using all of these annotate commands, and then we'll come straight back and I'll show you our finished item before we continue on to the next stage. So here we have a bit more lines associated with this item. So I'm just going to give you some dimensions and explanations. So continue on with our lines. We're going to change these to thin lines. Moving these around so it's the same. And then we can use our text to label. And then again add some dimensions in place. As I say, this is detailed drawing, so you need to add in the details that you want to represent and be able to see. Okay, so there we have that there, but we're going to continue on and give this a little bit more detail. So we're going to add a couple more items in place here. What we're going to do is we're going to add some detail components. Now for this area we need to use this area here, component, and make sure that we're choosing this one, detailed component. And then we have some items listed that we can utilize here. Now in this example we've got this M angle shape sections. So we're going to apply one of these. We're going to choose this one, the 75 by 50 up here, and we're using the space bar command for there, and then we're going to use the 50 by 50 down the bottom. Space command to rotate it. And then from there we're going to click these two items and we're going to mirror them. So for us to mirror them, we want to mirror them along the center line of here. Now we don't have a line associated with it, so we just need to quickly just draw one as a template. So we click our two items, mirror it, and tell it which axes we want to rotate it on. And then we can delete that line. So now we have our two in the correct locations there. And then to finish this off, we're just going to add in some break lines. So again, we use the component command, and then we look in our properties, we find the break line command here, and we position these using spacebar to rotate. Like this. Now if we notice here, you can see the extent, when we highlighted the extent of what these are. Sometimes you might find it's like this and you're missing some things out. All it is it's got a wipeout command associated with it, so we just need to rotate it round till we get it, and then we either move our lines because we drew them too big initially, like this, so as it's covered, or in this instance, the likes of this one, we can just expand our detail out. And now we can zoom in. Now if you find that your text is too cluttered here, we can just grab the item itself and move it around, and you can see an arc curving to say that this number is associated with this dimension here. That way it's clear, we're not needing to have it all on top of one another. And there we have our detail. Again, once we've got this, we can go to our sheet, grab this item, and then just drop it in place, and that's our detail done.